Welcome to Science Store online classes.
Don't forget to like our video and subscribe our YouTube channel for all the updates.
Good morning students, welcome to Physics NEET and CET class. So we have been discussing about electrostatics, in that we have discussed about charges, fields, electric field lines and Coulomb's force, Gauss law, electric flux, dipole, so application of Gauss law, so many things we have discussed. So let's move to the electric potential. In your board syllabus, this is taken as a one whole chapter. Electric potential and capacitor is taken as a separate chapter, but electric potential and capacitor as well, electric field and charges, both the chapters are altogether called, or they come under electrostatics. So when you solve a problem from electric field and charges, you need to have an idea about what is electric potential, what is capacitance, what is electric potential energy. So that's why let me combinedly do it and then we will move to the problem section. Okay, electric potential means what? So to understand this concept, you should know one more thing, which is called electric potential energy. Still, if you have to define what is electric potential in general, it is the property which tells the state of electric field in a given position. Electric potential is a physical property, or it is a property which tells the state of electric field in the given position, right? So as I told you, to know electric potential energy is, it gives a better understanding about electric potential. What is electric potential? So to understand that concept very easily, let me take the example of a spring. Let me take an example of a spring. Okay, so there is one spring here. This is a spring attached to the block. Now let's say length of the spring is L. Now I expand the spring or pull the spring in this direction. What happens? Spring length will increase, right? The spring length will become more. So this will be the spring after expanding. The length will become L plus delta L. When you expand it, length of the spring will increase. When you release that spring, what happens? It will bump back to its original length, right? You expand it, release it, it will bump back to its original length. So who brings it back to the original length? Whether you push it back? No. Whether I push it back or any Aladdin magic takes place? No, right? We all know that when I expand the spring, I have to do some work on that spring because restoring force is acting on the spring, correct? So when you expand the spring, you have to do some work on it against to the restoring force. That work then will be stored as a potential energy anywhere you place it. Okay, so if you expand the spring for a longer length, then more potential energy will be stored. If you expand it very little, less potential energy will be stored. Why? To expand it to a longer length, you have to do so much of work compared to the shorter length. So that work done is stored as a energy which we call as a potential energy. When you release the spring, that potential energy will convert as a kinetic energy. Hence, your spring will come back to its initial length, correct? So potential energy is a stored energy here, which is nothing but work done on the spring to expand. If you take another example, if that spring is compressed, the length of the spring is L, now the spring is compressed. After compressing, how does the spring will look like? The spring will be this, length will decrease. This was the length. After compression, length will become L minus delta L, right? The length of the spring will decrease. So when you release it, it will again go back to its initial state? Who pushes it back to the original state? Because when you compress it also, you will be doing work on that spring against to the restoring force. So you have to apply force towards this direction, then restoring force will be acting towards this direction. So work will be done on the spring, that will be stored as a potential energy. When it is compressed, when you release it, so it will convert into kinetic energy and come to its original length. So this idea of potential energy and work done you are aware about, so which will come in a case of oscillation and wave. You have studied that, or in the chapter of work, power, energy. Now electric potential energy is also something similar to this. Electric potential energy is also something similar to that. What is that? Let's say you have a charge here. You have a charge. When you have a charge, let's say it is a positive charge. When you have a charge here, there will be the space around it having the effect of it, which we call it as electric field. Correct? The space will be having an effect of this charge, which we call it as an electric field. Now I have small charge somewhere in the infinity. Okay, I have another charge somewhere in the infinity. Let's say this is also positive. Okay, now I bring it from infinity distance to the position P here, to the position P here. What is that P distance? P distance is around d from the source charge. If I call this as a source charge, then the position where I am going to bring this charge is at a distance d from the source charge. I have to do some work on this charge to bring it to this position. Yes or no? Because this is positive charge, this is also positive charge, they repel each other. So I have to bring it with by doing some work on that. Imagine two magnets. So you are bringing the north pole of two magnets together. You have to literally push it, correct? You have to literally apply force on it so that they will bring together, because they apply force on each other which repels each other, since they are like poles. Similarly, these are like charges, they repel each other. So you have to literally do some work on this charge to bring it to this position. So that work done, right? That work done will be stored as energy when the charge is located here, when that plus Q locates here. That work done, whatever the amount of work you do on this charge to bring it to this position, that will be stored as an energy. So that is nothing but potential energy or electric potential energy. Electric potential energy at position P. If you have to bring it even closer, then you have to do even more work. So potential energy at P dash will be more compared to the potential energy at P. It's understood, right? So the amount of work done in bringing a charge from infinite distance to the electric field or to the position in an electric field or against to an electric field is nothing but potential energy. So that work done will be stored as a potential energy and it is measured in terms of joule. So what is that? So if you have to express in terms of expression, what is that potential energy? So that potential energy is nothing but 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught. So there are two charges, right? Q into Q divided by D. Potential energy will be 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught Q into Q divided by D. This is the amount of work done in bringing a charge from infinite to the given position in an electric field. What if this is a negative charge? What if this is a negative charge? Then it will get attracted by this charge. To place it here at P, again you have to do some work, or else it will be attracted towards this. So there also work will be converted into potential energy. Remember always, when you bring two like charges together, right? When you bring two like charges together, potential energy will be increased. For two like charges or charges are like charges, potential energy will be increased. If you have a plus q here and a plus q here, to bring this plus q to the position P, when it bring it to the position P, potential energy of this position will increase. When there are two unlike charges, right, potential energy will decrease. Potential energy will decrease, because if they are unlike, this is minus, this is plus, this itself will pull it towards it, correct? If one is north pole, another one is south pole, they will themselves attract towards it, so you don't have to apply force on it. So potential energy will decrease when two like charges or when charges are like charges, then potential energy will be increased. When charges are unlike charges, potential energy will decrease. So instead of plus q here, you can take minus q also, right? So this is about potential energy. So if you have one other charge here, q2, and another charge here, q3, then what will be the potential energy at P? This charge should bring it to this position where the electric field of Q is existing, Q2 is existing, Q3 is also existing. So it should do work against to Q1, Q2 and Q3. So when you have a system of charges, so in that case we consider it as a system of charges. We call that condition or situation as a system of charges. So for a system of charges, what is electric potential energy? Electric potential energy is denoted as U. So electric potential energy will be is equal to 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught, or you can write it as U1 plus U2 plus U3 and so on. So which will be equal to 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught Q into Q1 by d square plus Q into Q2, Q2 into Q divided by d1 d2 square plus Q3 into Q divided by d3 square. So potential energy will be more, Q1 into Q2 plus Q2 into, I am taking a random example, Q2 into Q3, Q3 into Q1. So this will be the potential energy. So as you know potential energy, it won't be that difficult to measure or to know what is electric potential. So before that, so when you, instead of this, let's say you have a charge here Q1, okay, at some distance d from here there is one more charge Q2. Let's say they are positive. There is one charge Q1 here and another charge is at distance d, which is Q2. Now I release this charge. So both are positive, they should repel each other. When I release this charge will go to infinity, correct? Because of this repelling force. So at infinity, at this position P, if the potential energy of these two, this position is 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught Q1 into Q2 divided by D, correct? At this position P, potential energy is 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught Q1 Q2 divided by D. When you release this charge will move to the infinity. So at infinity, its kinetic energy will be is equal to the potential energy here, which is nothing but 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught Q1 Q2 by D. I repeat. See here what we did, there was one charge already, you brought another charge to the position of this. So let me take it as a Q, so that Q2, this as Q1, this is Q1, this will be Q2. Okay. Now you bring Q2 to the position P. You have to do some work on it, so that work will be stored as a energy. So at P the potential energy will be 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught Q1 Q2 divided by D. Now reverse case, already there are two charges at Q1 and Q2. They are Q1 and Q2 separated by distance D, similar distance. What will be their potential energy? 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught Q1 Q2 divided by D. Now I release Q2. So Q2 will be experiencing repelling force, so it will go to infinity. At infinity its kinetic energy, at infinity potential energy will be always zero, remember this. At infinity potential energy will be always zero. So at infinity potential energy will be zero, but kinetic energy will be equal to the potential energy it had here. Here its kinetic energy is zero, here its potential energy is zero. So this potential energy will be converted as kinetic energy when it is repelled back to the infinity. When it is brought into the finite position from infinity, that work done will be stored as a potential energy. So here potential energy will be converted as kinetic energy, just as your spring. When you pull it, work has to be done, and that will be stored as a potential energy when the spring is expanded. When you release it, that potential energy will be converted into kinetic energy, so it will go back to the original length. Similarly here, when you compress, potential energy will be stored, when you release, that will be converted into kinetic energy. Similar thing takes place here. Similar thing takes place here. Now let's consider equilateral triangle. Consider equilateral triangle of side A. Okay, then charge Q1 is here, Q2 is here, Q3 is here. Q1 is here, Q2 is here, Q3 is here. Then total potential energy of this whole system is 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught Q1 Q2 by A plus Q2 Q3 by A plus Q3 Q1 by A. Correct? So this will be the potential energy of the whole system when charges are placed at the vertices of equilateral triangle of side A, then this will be the potential energy. So it can be written this way also, right? Summation of Qi, Qj, Ij divided by A. Yes, this is about your electric potential energy. Now, what is electric potential? Electric potential is denoted with the letter V. Electric potential energy is measured with the with joule. So electric potential is denoted with the letter V. What is electric potential? See, electric potential energy is amount of work done in bringing a charge infinity to the point in any electric field. Correct? Bringing Q2 to the electric field of Q1. Work done in bringing Q2 to the electric field of Q1 is nothing but electric potential energy. But electric potential means the amount of work done in bringing a unit positive charge, unit charge or test charge. If Q2 is equal to test charge, Q2 is equal to test charge. So work done in bringing a unit charge in the electric field of, or in the position in any electric field, that is electric potential. So how do we denote it as? Work done per charge. So if I take that, work done per Q2, work done per Q2 is nothing but your electric potential or potential energy Q2. General formula is V into W by Q. Work done in bringing a unit positive charge from infinity to the given point in any electric field. So, U by Q. From this you can write electric potential energy or work done is equal to Q times of electric potential. Remember, how do we measure it as? We measure it as volt. We measure it as volt. So now can you tell me what is 1 volt is equal to? 1 volt is equal to 1 joule of work done by 1 coulomb of charge in bringing from infinity to the given point in any electric field. Am I right? If 1 joule of work has done, this is unit positive charge now, Q. So 1 joule of work done, 1 volt is the electric potential if 1 joule of work done in bringing this unit positive charge from infinity to the given point in any electric field. In any electric field. What is the expression, mathematical expression for this electric potential? 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught. See, electric potential is nothing but potential energy per unit charge, right? According to this, 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught Q1 by D. So, general formula is 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught Q divided by D, or Q divided by R, or Q divided by X, where X represent the distance separation, R represent the distance separation. I repeat, electric potential means electric potential energy per unit charge. Electric potential energy per unit charge. That means in terms of words you can say the amount of work done in bringing a unit charge or test charge from infinity to the given point in any electric field. Amount of work done in bringing unit charge, that is important, unit charge in bringing from infinity to the given point in the electric field. So that is electric potential. 1 volt is 1 joule per 1 coulomb. Joule per coulomb is also SI, can also be the unit. Joule per coulomb can also be the unit. Now, as I mentioned earlier, this is the property. Okay, erase this part. This is the property just like temperature. How temperature measures the hotness of the body, right? Temperature, if you are 27 degrees Celsius, if the room temperature is 27 degrees Celsius, that measures the amount of heat present in that room, correct? Temperature measures the hotness or coldness of a body. Similarly, electric potential measures or it expresses the state of electric field in the given point. Okay, it is completely relative, student. Electric potential is a completely relative value, not absolute. I will tell you how. See, positively charged particle will have higher potential. Positively charged particle will have higher potential. Higher potential. A negatively charged particle will have lower potential. Lower potential. Now, okay, there is one charge here which is plus 9 microcoulomb. Okay, there is one charge here minus 16 microcoulomb which is having higher potential. Okay, let's consider it as minus 8 or minus 9 microcoulomb. This is having higher potential and this is having lower potential. But if you have a charge, let me consider you have another charge, something like plus 9 microcoulomb, and you have another charge plus 5 microcoulomb plus 9 plus 5. In this, which is higher potential? But I say here positive charges are higher potential, negative charges are lower potential. So are they same? No. Plus 9 microcoulomb is higher potential area, minus 9 microcoulomb is lower potential area. You got it, right? So it is relative, not absolute. It depends on which is there next. So always, if you have a battery, if you have a cell, this is the positive terminal of the cell, this is negative terminal of the cell, correct? Positive terminal of the cell and negative terminal of the cell. Okay, the potential to know that you should know what is potential difference. Potential difference. So potential difference is the difference between potential at 2 points, V2 minus V1. Potential, it is the difference between two potentials, or potential difference is the difference in the potential between at 2 points. Okay. Here this will be your V2, this will be your V1. Here this will be your V2, this will be your V1. Got it? So V2 minus V1 is the potential difference. Let's say the potential difference here is nothing but 5 volt. 5 volt is the potential difference here between positive and negative terminal. There is one more battery. There is one more battery. The potential difference of this is positive, this is negative, right? The potential difference of this is some 2 volt. 2 volt. What I am trying to say. Hello students, we were discussing about capacitance, right? We have discussed about parallel plate capacitor. Now we will discuss about the spherical capacitor. So spherical capacitor can be formed due to two concentric spheres. So how it will look like? Two concentric spheres. One sphere is having a radius r1, and this should be charged, let's say positively charged. Another sphere whose radius is r2. Let's say this is negatively charged. Now this will act like a capacitor. What will be the capacitance of it? So in these cases there will be in this type of capacitor there will be two cases. One is either outer sphere will be grounded or inner sphere will be grounded. If inner sphere is charged and outer sphere is earthened or grounded, then capacitance will be 4 pi epsilon naught R1 R2 minus divided by R1 minus R2. So if this is charged and this is grounded, outer one is grounded, then capacitance will be is equal to 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught R1 into R2 divided by R1 minus R2. If inner one is grounded, this R1, this is grounded, whereas sphere of radius R2 is not grounded. This is charged and this is grounded, then capacitance will be is equal to 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught R1 into R2 divided by R1 minus R2 plus 4 pi epsilon naught R1. You find the difference, right? In the first case R1 is grounded, or the sphere of radius R1 is grounded. In the second one, sphere of radius, in the first one sphere of radius R2 is grounded, and second case inner sphere is grounded, outer sphere is charged. So R1 minus R2 plus 4 pi epsilon naught R1. You can also have a cylindrical capacitor which are coaxial. So cylindrical capacitor with inner cylinder having a radius A and outer cylinder having a radius B and the length as L is nothing but, see, sphere, this is cylinder, the radius of the cylinder is B. There is one more inner radius. The radius of the cylinder is A. So both have the same length L. In this case, the capacitance will be is equal to 2 pi epsilon naught L divided by log base E B by A, or A, B by A, 2 pi epsilon naught L divided by log E B by A, where L represents the length of this cylinder. Okay, now the combination of capacitors. Any capacitor, it can be parallel plate or it can be cylindrical, it can be spherical. So combination of the capacitors. So let's discuss about the series first. Series combination. Series. So capacitors having capacitance C1, C2, C3. So they are connected in series. Let me consider parallel plate. Okay, this is the representation of capacitor, right? So C1, C2, C3. So they will be equal to one capacitance, correct? It will be, the combination can be replaced by one capacitor of capacitance C. So that C will be, or let me call it as CS. So 1 by CS will be is equal to 1 by C1 plus 1 by C2 plus 1 by C3. You get it? If there are three capacitors, the effective series combination will be that. What is parallel combination of those three? Parallel. So parallel combination of C1, C2 and C3. It can be replaced by one capacitor. If I call it as capacitance as Cp, then Cp will be is equal to C1 plus C2 plus C3. Okay. If you have a n number of identical capacitors, okay, n number of identical capacitors, you have n number of identical capacitors. So their CS will be, when they are connected in series, their CS will be is equal to C divided by N. Let's say the capacitance of the capacitor is C. N number of, so there are three capacitors, their capacitance is different. But here you have n number of such capacitors, but their capacitance is same, C, C, C. So then C by N is the series equivalent capacitor, and Cp is nothing but n times of C. Cp is nothing but n times of C. If you have n number of capacitors, n identical capacitors, from series combination, right? From series combination, you can get around 2 to the power of n minus 1 capacitance, or you can have this many number of series combination with n identical capacitor. You have, let's say, 10 identical capacitors. Okay, there are 10 capacitors whose capacitance is 10 microfarad. So if you have to have a series combination with those capacitors, right, you can have 2 to the power of 9 number of series combination with those 10 capacitors. All are different, and 2 to the power of 9 number of capacitance you can get from the series combination, different capacitance. So if you have n identical capacitor, from series combination you can have this many capacitance. By making them in a series, by connecting them in a series, you can have 2 to the power of n minus 1 capacitance. And from parallel combination, right, from parallel combination, you can have 2 to the power of n capacitance. That means, in case, example, if you have a 3 capacitors, let's say you have 3 capacitors, identical capacitor means all the 3 are having capacitance C, means 10 microfarad, 10 microfarad, 10 microfarad. Then how many series combinations you can make? You can make 2 to the power of 2, means 4 series combinations you can make, and you can get 4 series 4 capacitance. I'll tell you how. Let's say there are 3 capacitors A, B and C. Okay, so these 3 are having capacitance C, they are identical, right? Okay, now how many series combinations I can make? One is connecting all the 3, another one is connecting A and B. This is also series combination. Another one is connecting A and C. Correct? Connecting C and A. C and B. How many done? 4. So if you have a 3 identical capacitors, you can make 4 series combination. From all of this you will get here how many capacitance you will get? Cs will be is equal to C divided by 3. Here Cs will be is equal to C by 2. Here also Cs by is equal to C by 2. Cs is equal to C by 2. So you will get 4 capacitance from the 4 combination. You got it, right? So next, if you have a 3 capacitors, how many parallel combinations you can make? 2 to the power of n. 2 to the power of 3 is how much, students? 3 is 8. You can make 8 combination, parallel combination. So you have capacitors A, B and C. How many parallel combinations you can make? 8 parallel combinations. So one is all the 3 connecting A, B, C in parallel. A, B, C. Next connecting only AB. Next connecting only AC. Connecting only CB. And again one more type of combination you can make is A parallel to B and C. B and C are in series, A is parallel to B and C. This is also a parallel combination. B is parallel to A and C. C is parallel to A and B. So, and oh yeah, so similarly you can make 8 combination. You got it, right? Just like how did I show it for series? You can make 8 such combination. If X number of capacitor is 2, then 2 to the power of 2, 4 combinations you can make. So with the 2 capacitor. So this is about series and parallel combinations with the identical capacitors. Now when the capacitors are in a series, what will be same? The charge across all the capacitors will be same. Charge across all the capacitors will be same. If this is Q1, if this is Q, this will all become Q1. But potential difference across all the capacitor will be different. So in the capacitor C1, potential difference will be V1. Here potential difference will be V2. Here potential difference will be V3. So now you can have a relation between potential difference and capacitor. Which are different here? Capacitance and potential differences are different. Charges across each capacitors are same. So you can say that 1 by C1 is 1 by C2 is 1 by C3, right? 1 by C1 is 1 by C2, 1 by C3 is equal to V1, V2, V3. Ratio of the potential difference across the capacitors will be equal to ratio of reciprocal of the capacitance. When the capacitors are in a series. When they are in parallel, what will be common across all the capacitors? Potential difference. If it is V here, it will be same everywhere. But charge across each capacitors will be different. What will be the charge? Here it will be Q1, Q2, Q3. Now ratio of C1, C2 and C3 will be equal to Q1, Q2, and Q3. Got it? Remember this relation? Okay. Yes. Now let's say the capacity of the capacitor with n identical parallel plates in a air or vacuum between the plates is, okay, if you have two parallel plates, what will be the capacitance? Let's say you have two parallel plates, parallel plate A and parallel plate B. This is positively charged, this is negatively charged, distance separation is D. The area of both the plates are A. Then what is the capacitance of this? Capacitance of these parallel plates is equal to epsilon naught A divided by D. How many plates are here? There are two. Capacitance is epsilon naught A divided by T. So now what do I have is, I have n number of such parallel plates. Okay. So totally there are n number of parallel plates. Each are separated by a distance d. Each are separated by distance d. Each are having area A. Each are having area A. If this is positively charged, obviously by induced effect this will be negatively charged. Then this will be positively charged. Then this will be negatively charged. This will be positively charged. So the next one negatively. So this will be ultimately negatively charged. Am I right? So you can have so many capacitors, right? These two can form one capacitor. These two can form another capacitor. These two can form another capacitor. Similarly these and so on. So when you have a capacitors like this, and then when you have a parallel plates like this, and there are n number of parallel plates, the capacitance of this is nothing but, capacitance of this kind of a setup will be nothing but n minus 1 epsilon naught A divided by D. What is epsilon naught? Absolute permittivity. We have the same here. What is A? Area of the metal plates. D is the distance separation between the metal plates. What is n minus 1? See, it was two plates here, so here we have one, right? Though I don't mention here, we have 1 into epsilon naught A divided by D. So when you have a two plates, 1 multiplied by epsilon naught A divided by D. Here I have n number of plates, so I should be multiplied by n minus 1, right? If I have a 10 plates, then there will be 9 times of epsilon naught A divided by D, right? So if this is 9 number of plates, then capacitance, if it is 10 number of plates, capacitance is 9 times of capacitance of two parallel plates. The capacitance of these two parallel plates is there, right? So 9 times of that is nothing but total capacitance of the whole system, right? Okay. Now if these are filled with, if this is filled with dielectric medium then of constant K, that is filled with dielectric medium of constant K, okay. So then what will be capacitance? Capacitance will be K times of epsilon naught A divided by D. Similarly, if this is filled with the same medium, then C will be is equal to K times of n minus 1 epsilon naught A divided by D. Just making a small adjustment in the formula which you already aware about, right? Now, what is the energy stored in a capacitor? What is the energy stored in any of the capacitor? So this is your capacitor. One is positively charged, one is negatively charged, and Potential difference across this capacitor is V, correct? Capacitance of this capacitor is C. Charge here is plus Q, charge here is minus Q. What will be the capacitance of this capacitor? C is equal to Q by V. Okay. What is the energy stored here? Energy stored in this capacitor. Energy stored in this capacitor is equal to half times of CV square or half times of Q into V or half times of Q square by C. Am I correct? There are three, half into CV square or half into Q, if you could remember, recall from board, half into QV or half into Q square by 2C. Now this capacitor is charging. Okay, this capacitor is kept for charging through a battery. Okay, positive terminal and negative terminal. So what do you mean by charging? Charging means carrying an electron from one plate to the another plate. Am I right? Once one plate will become completely electron deficient, another plate will become completely excess in an electron or so much electron, that is called totally charged. Am I right? Let's say there are, so before charging there are 10 electrons here, 10 electrons here. So when you have a 10 electron, there will be 10 proton, here also 10 proton. So when I keep it or connect it to a battery, what happens? Electron from here will transfer to here until all the 10 electron will come and join here. What will be the electron number here? Electron number here is 20. What is the number of electron? 0. Then what is the potential difference here? 10 volt, because number of electron potential difference occurs. So that is called charging. So to carry the electron from one plate to another plate, what you have to do? You should do so much of work on that plate. That work done is equal to how much? You know that work done is equal to Q times of V. Right? Work done by the battery to charge a capacitor. Work done by battery to charge a capacitor. How much? Work done is equal to Q into V. So from this, Q into V is 2 times of energy stored in the capacitor. So you can say that work done is equal to 2 times of V. Since work done is equal to Q into E. So Q into V means what? Half into Q into V is nothing but energy stored in a capacitor. So QV is 2 times of energy stored. So work done will be is equal to, when you carry the electron from one plate to another plate, right? The amount of work done, that 2 times of it will be stored as a amount of work you have to do is 2 times of the energy stored in that capacitor. So energy stored is nothing but 2 times, work done is nothing but 2 times of energy stored. Now what is energy density? Energy density. What do you mean by energy density? Energy density means energy per unit volume, correct? Energy per unit volume. What is the energy of the capacitor? Half into, let me write it here. So energy per unit volume is nothing but half into CV square. Am I right? Okay. What is capacitance of a parallel plate capacitor? Epsilon naught A divided by D. What is V square? V means what? Let me write it as V square. So this is energy per unit volume, correct? So divided by, let me write it as V square only, divided by volume. Can I write volume as area into distance. Volume of this plate is nothing but this distance times of area, correct? So area into distance. Now area gets cancelled. This will go up and become square here. What is V by D? V by D is nothing but electric field. So can I write energy density as half times of epsilon naught V square by D square is E square. So this is the energy density. There is one more expression for energy density, that is sigma square divided by epsilon naught. Epsilon naught is the absolute permittivity. So energy density, energy per unit volume. Here if I write V, you shouldn't confuse it with the potential. Here I meant volume. So VOL, right? Energy per unit volume is sigma squared by epsilon naught. So this is the energy density of capacitor. Energy stored is this much. Work done to store that energy is 2 times of the energy stored, and energy density is energy per unit volume. Volume is taken as area into displacement, correct? Area is this. Displacement of the charge particle is this, right? Particle is going from B plate to A plate. So this is the displacement of the charge particle. So energy per unit volume. Capacity, substitute, area gets cancelled. So see, half epsilon naught E square or sigma square by epsilon naught is the energy density. So this is about the parallel plate capacitor. Now, so we have discussed about series and parallel combination, right? So you can have a mixed combination, yes or no? You can also have a mixed combination. Let's say there are n number of capacitors in series, C1, C2, C3, Cn. So there are such m number of rows. Correct? Here there are n number of capacitors. So such m number of rows are there. What is the number of total capacitors present here? Number of capacitor is n into m. There are n numbers in rows and n number of capacitors in series combination. Such m numbers are in parallel. This is a mixed grouping of capacitor. So total number of capacitor will be m into n or n into m. Yes. Now let's say there are two charged body. One is having charge q1, another one is having charge q2. Okay, they are connected each other. Their capacitance is different, C1 and C2. So they are connected. When they connected, they will have a common potential. They will let in a common potential. That potential obtained by two like charges having charge q1 and q2, capacitance C1 and C2, when they are connected together, the potential common, initially let's say this will have a potential V1 and this will have a potential V2. So after connecting each other, the common potential they will obtain is nothing but C1 into V1 plus C2 into V2 divided by C1 plus C2. C1 into V1 divided by C2 into V2 divided by C1 plus C2. So, or you can, in terms of charge, you can write it as Q1 plus Q2, because C1 into V1 is Q1, C2 into V2 is Q2 divided by C1 plus C2. When those charge particles are connected, the energy will reduce, because when they are connected, the energy will be reduced. Loss of energy, U is equal to, what is the amount of energy lost? Half C1 C2 by C1 plus C2 V1 minus V2 whole square. C1 into C2 divided by C1 plus C2 into V1 minus V2 whole square. V1 minus V2 whole square. Now, if those two charges are unlike, one is plus, another one is minus. This is like charge. If it is unlike charge, then their common potential would have been C1 V1 minus C2 V2 by C1 plus C2, or Q1 minus Q2 divided by C1 plus C2, and the energy loss of energy delta U would have been, if I write U, you will understand it as an energy. Loss of energy is nothing but C1 C2 by C1 plus C2 into V1 plus V2 whole square. This would have been the loss of energy when two charged particles having two different capacitance are connected together. So this is about the capacitance. Next we will discuss about dielectrics.
Don't forget to like our video and subscribe our YouTube channel for all the updates.